What's going on, people? It's your boy Astro, aka the Galaxy Shogun, coming to you here with my chapter review for One Piece chapter 1162. I know, a little late, but this chapter is called Battle Royale, and man, was that ever apt. We're getting all the top players going at it, and we're getting to see it. Like, Oda's not teasing us anymore. It's kind of surreal that this is finally coming in like a Herald flashback, no less. Like, it's crazy that this really just became a Rocks flashback rather than what it was, I guess, intended to be, but we'll see how Herald ties himself into this by the end of it. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I know this is coming a bit later than usual, but unfortunately, this is not something that really makes me any revenue at this time. I've just moved to Japan, and I have to focus on building my life and providing. I have a kid, gotta protect little Ace, so, that has to come first from a monetary standpoint. If I was, getting more views and I was monetized and that type of stuff, then I would definitely hope that this could be something full-time. But at this point, I'm trying to balance both, so just bear with me if some of these videos come a little later, because your boy's working hard, man. 6 days a week right now, so, just trying to grind out here. So anyways, on to the chapter. We get to see, like I said earlier, so many people just doing their thing, and we're getting so much, like, depth to so many characters, like Shiki, Rayleigh, Shaki, Rocks, like even Garp. Like, we're getting so much more into the type of characters and, their actions, and that's something I love about, like, One Piece. And, I tend to really like series that go deep into the character development, and you could, like, really imagine what that character is going to do. So, we start off the chapter, I guess, with Rayleigh and Shaki having their moment. They're running away, they're escaping. Rayleigh wants to say something to Shaki. We don't exactly know what it is. People are joking like, oh, I don't want to be tied down, or I already have, like 3 more kids, pulling some Caribbean island stuff, if you know. But, it's very likely that he's saying, I love you, or something to that effect. But, it really could be a lot of things. People theorize that Mihawk was, Rayleigh's son. I guess that's technically possible. If Mihawk has a different mom or something like that. But yeah, I don't really have a lot of evidence, so I won't really go into that. But it's definitely possible that, Rayleigh subverts our expectations when we find out what he actually was going to say, because, Oda did still sprinkle a little bit of tease there with not letting us hear it. So I definitely am leaning towards it not being as simple as I love you. But beyond that, we see Roger. They're going after the treasure, so that's pretty cool. As, Rayleigh and Shaki are escaping, they run into Shiki. So, speaking of, depth to characters, it's cool that we see Shiki actually tell, the other, I believe, Rocks pirates or whoever pirates they are that are trying to go after Shaki. I guess I'd have to assume they're all Rocks pirates, not to do that, because he doesn't want to see Shaki get hurt. So, good to see that Shiki is, actually genuinely caring about Shaki's well-being, and even though another dude got her, he's respecting game. Game's respecting game right now, so Shiki, good on you. So, beyond that, it's been pretty crazy, like, agenda-wise, stock-wise, like, it's just been nuts, this God Valley flashback, because you go from, like, oh, starting this off, your people's opinion of Dragon, bad people, I mean me, like, oh, Dragon doesn't really do much, to, oh, I think I understand Dragon more, and then the anger gets tilted to Garp, like, oh, Garp, like, you're letting all this slide, like, you just Goku, you don't care what happens to everybody, all you want to do is fight, like, are you insane, bro? Like, well, like, what is this? And then we actually see this chapter, and I know I'm maybe jumped ahead just a bit, but Garp is pretty mad. He actually calls Sengoku and says, what is going on here? Garp is seeing the atrocities that are happening, and he's not really down with what he's seeing going on. I guess he wasn't aware that this type of stuff is happening, and it's like, you could kind of say that this exonerates him, but does it fully? I mean, I'm not a Garp hater, but I am pretty critical of Garp, because I think he is kind of, he's definitely in the Marines trying to do justice in his own way, but he's definitely, like, still directly supporting a system that does some pretty terrible things, and, once an entity gets that big and powerful, there's no way it's going to do good 100% of the time. Sometimes, some bad stuff's going to happen, but the Celestial Dragons are kind of a different type. It's not like a Akainu type evil, if you know what I mean. Like, he can justify it, like, this is justice. Like, the Celestial Dragons are just, like, pure selfishness, pure greed, pure evil. And whether Garp wants to say, oh, I'm taking the promotion or not, I believe that he's, he's whether he ends up defending the Celestial Dragons, like the original story that, Sengoku said, or not, like, he's still a part of a system that is cool with, like, slavery and enslaves people and does, like, all these things. So it's really an interesting argument. Like, does this really exonerate Garp that much? I mean, definitely there's some ignorance at play, I should say, but I guess the bigger thing here is, like, is ignorance a valid excuse for somebody like Garp? Like, and he also stayed in the Marines after? Because I think it was Morge make an argument that, like, Garp basically can always do what he wants, and I just definitely disagree with that. No disrespect to Morge, but it's like, I don't think he wanted Ace to die, and I know Morge brought that up as a direct example in one of his recent videos, but it's like, yeah, Garp didn't want Ace to die, and he didn't choose to let Ace die, really. His hands were tied. So it's not as if Garp has, like, the ultimate say. Garp couldn't do what he wanted in that situation. He had to basically watch it happen, which was pretty tough for him. So, it's not as simple as Garp just being this type of person that can just do whatever he wants because he's strong. Like, he's still, as much as he has his moral code, there's things he wants to do to go against it. Like, he's a biased person in the sense that it's rules for me, but not for thee. Like, he's willing to let his friends kind of go, like, let's say, mountain bandits, Dadan. Like, remember when Luffy first makes it to Mount Corvo and gets into the house, and they're wondering who this little kid is, and they're, like, willing to kidnap a little kid for ransom. Like, these aren't necessarily great people, and Garp is kind of letting their actions slide because they're doing favors. Dadan and the mountain bandits are doing favors for him, so I could probably make a longer video on Garp, but I definitely wanted to take a piece to talk about that, because a lot of people are like, oh, see, like, Garp is exonerated now, like, this guy should be getting, shit talked towards him, and it's like, I get that, and it's not completely his fault, and I'm not going to blame him fully for it, but at the same time, like, he's not scot-free either. Like, I personally don't feel like ignorance is a full excuse. So, moving on with that, we see a conversation between Zebek and actually his wife Eris. He actually catches up to Teach, this guy, Baby Teach. And by the way, Teach is another character that's just getting so much upscale and development just through this. His mom was a pirate as well, so he's thoroughbreded. His mom is literally willing to kill Baby Teach and herself to ensure that, the Celestial Dragons and the God's Knights do not get a hold of them, because they'll do some pretty disgusting things to them, which is like, man, again, like, are these Celestial Dragons disgusting? Like, we knew it, but it's just like, whatever bone they have to pick, like, out of spite, they're gonna, like, torture or do experiments. Maybe there's something up with the bodies, because, we see in this chapter that actually, we see Rox's dad, who was the person with the straw hat that we saw earlier when all Celestial Dragons were, like, throwing shit, and he's the person that was wearing the straw hat, like, the big guy, and then his grandma as well, and they get, like, Dami reversied, and it's like, a lot of people are saying that was Imu's doing, but it's like, I'm pretty sure Imu did not show up till the end of the chapter, and again, I'm jumping back and forth, but for the sake of this review, I think it flows better this way. Imu shows up at the end of the chapter through Saturn, so it's like, we see them Dami reverse it before, so it's like, okay, did he pop in someone else's body, another God's Knight's body? Did Garling do it? Can someone else do it? Or, my theory, can the Davy clan inherently turn into demons? Something with the D or the Davy has to do with the underworld, because Davy Jones's locker, the underworld where people disappear to. Can they perhaps transform similar to a Sulon form with darkness into some sort of demons, and the Dami Reversi can bring out that inherent evil or transformation? I could definitely see that being a thing. Not to say that the Celestial Dragons are like, the angels and the Davies or the devils per se. It's not always this black and white, but I could definitely see, I guess, a race or a bloodline, a clan in One Piece having the ability to possibly turn into demons, similar to Attack on Titan, kind of like, the Eldians. So, that's kind of how I'm feeling. I don't think it was Imu. I could end up being wrong next chapter. We'll see, I guess. But it was kind of like random, them being transformed, and I think there's a good reason that Oda didn't show them transforming. So, anyways, moving on. Eris is a real one. Everyone, wants a woman like that. She's not going to let herself be hostage and let them do all the dirty things that Celestial Dragons do. I mean, I get it. If I was Rox, I wouldn't really love to hear that my wife was gonna possibly take my kid's life and her own life in order to save herself, because Garling, who, by the way, agenda wise, like, I'm a Shanks fanboy, so if Garling is taking, like, L's, some people are gonna, like, oh, Shanks and do that type of thing and situation, or, oh, this is Mihawk upscale or whatever. And I mean, it's all irrelevant. Like, Shanks is goated. Like, Shanks is, for all intents and purposes, Roger's child, though the blood connection is through Garling. Like, as much as I wanted Garling to be strong and the God's Knights to be, like, great, like, they're kind of sucking right now, to be honest, so it's like, it is what it is. Like, they're kind of doing this regeneration thing, and Zebek is cutting them down, and meanwhile, Garling is just being a scum, like, talking about, oh, your wife and family, you're going to abandon them, this, that, just talking all this cash money, but doesn't, have anything to really back it up, because Zebek's, like, doing, like, cool one-hand slashes into two-hand slashes, like, going super ham. If you're wondering, that's pain from my job there. So, anyways, crazy stuff going on. So we're seeing Garling take fat L's, and not one, people, two. He gets cut down twice. So yeah, not a great day for the Garling and God's Knights agenda. And just like Summers, like, these people, they just take blows. Like, Garling's menacing, but they need to be, like, a lot more menacing, I feel like. Like, I don't necessarily want to just see them hunting down innocent people and women and children. Like, that just makes them look sick rather than, like, and I mean, like, bad sick, like, you know, not good, rather than, like, you know, actually being formidable, per se, because anytime they go up against top tiers, because again, Garling's going up against Zebek, arguably, like, who I would say other than, like, Emu and possibly Shanks at this point, you know, are the strongest people in the story. And I know it's probably crazy that, you know, I'm putting Shanks in that caliber, but again, I will simply remind you that when the knot got undone and Joy Boy's Hockey came out, it got related, it got compared to Shanks' hockey, so it's not that crazy, and I'm not being a fanboy by saying that, but that's another video in its entirety. I think that, you know, the top of the tops, the Rogers, the Shankses, you know, the Whitebeards, like, these are the people that are going to be able to put up that type of fight. Even the Scopper Gobons, they're going to be able to do this and, like, make the God's Knights look silly. Your average people, like your Crocodiles, your Bo Hancocks, your Doflamingos, I think that they would get absolutely low-dipped by the God's Knights. And I'm not trying to hold out just because I had high hopes for the God's Knights, but we got to put it into perspective here. Like, it's not that Garling is particularly weak. Like, he's pathetic right now and definitely not looking like the hero of God Valley or whatever the hell his fake title was, as it's clearly fake at this point. But, yeah. You know, Sengoku is talking a lot of propaganda. We don't know if what he said is true. Probably Garp came back and gave him some form of a story. Maybe Garp decides to create Sword after this and decides to withhold some of the truth and not really go about what goes down. Because even this incident, like, Sengoku's kind of like, yeah, you know, yeah, something's going on. But don't talk about it because someone else disappeared. Like, in my opinion, he obviously knows what's going down, and he just knows better than to openly talk about it because that could make them disappear. So, Sengoku's also very complicit here. Him and Garp are equally complicit. Maybe Sengoku a little more if he, like, really is, like, orchestrating and, like, really facilitating this. Because at least what I'll say for Garp, he's not really trying to facilitate it. He's just kind of a part of it unintentionally. So, you know, that's kind of the Rock's part and Garling getting sliced down. Another interesting part, we see another angle of Big Mom taking the Uo Onomi, which is the fish fruit, Maroseryu, which, again, I don't know if this really disproves my theory that the dragon is an awakening. I guess it makes the likelihood a little less likely, but, you know, it's the fish fruit. So the fact that it's the dragon, did Kaido instantly awaken, like, when he got the fruit? Because it's so interesting to see Big Mom take the fruit, and from her perspective, she's thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to give this to Katakuri, which, based on story and, like, time-wise, chronologically, I guess Katakuri should actually already have his fruit, as a lot of other YouTubers and smart people have pointed out, but, you know, we'll just not think about that for the moment. She's thinking, yeah, I'm going to give this fruit to Katakuri. And here comes little brat Kaido, and it's so cool to see Kaido, like, kind of, you know, acting like a brat, just sneaks her, steals it, and it's good to see, like, Big Mom's not knocked out. She's just kind of, like, taken aback, like, Kaido, this is what you're doing? And I mean, she did kind of promise it to Kaido, but Kaido was just like, I'm taking this into my own hands, gulp. Big smile on his face, and there he goes, doing his little dragon thing, his twirls in the sky. Super cool to see Kaido, for maybe the first time in this whole backstory, just kind of have some genuine, like, happiness and genuine emotion, and kind of see him acting like a little brat. It's really cool. So, yeah, you know, Big Mom didn't actually give it to him. He more or less took it. So when Big Mom's saying, you owe me, I mean, I guess, because she stole it, but he stole it from her, so, you know, you guys are pirates at the end of the day. You should have expected that much. In terms of the betrayal that Kaido's about to face, again, to jump to the end of the chapter, when Emo gets there, we got a super cool spread of Whitebeard, Zebek, and Kaido with his new form, and, you know, Kaido's all excited, oh, look at me, my new dragon form. Rock's is like, you know, I'm glad someone's having fun. Whitebeard, you know, he's like, you're my drinking buddy, you know, I'm gonna fight with you, but secretly he could have seen the whole thing go down with his family, because, you know, Whitebeard cares a lot about family, and that's the reason he's kind of, like, throwing his weight behind this. And also, like, Whitebeard was kind of his vice captain in the Rock's Pirates, if you want to look at it that way. He was with him from, the original time. It was him, Shiki, and actually Stussy that came to the island. So that's pretty interesting. Speaking of people come to the island, is that, like, Marco's dad? A lot of people are saying there's a guy who looks a lot like Marco. Did Marco, like, reborn himself? Is that what the fruit does? Or is that seriously just his dad that ends up, you know, leaving his son in Whitebeard's care at some point in the future? Pretty interesting to see that. But, yeah, you know, Emu shows up, Saturn is there, and before Emu shows up, you know, he's calling in. Before he's about to make his arrival, he's like, hey, by the way, before, you know, I come here and, you know, do my thing, is Rox dead? And Saturn's like, oh, being all nonchalant. Fucking Saturn. I would have offed him too, honestly. Saturn seems to be incompetent. Like, everything this guy does is like poo-poo. So, like, yeah, he's like, yeah, so Saturn's like, Rock's dead? And he's like, no, but like, don't worry, we're working on that. You know, like, you know, when your boss or supervisor comes, you should have been done like an hour ago, you're kind of fucking around. They're like, hey, is that thing done? He's like, oh, oh, it's not though, but don't worry about it. You know, we're on track. Don't even worry about it. So, you know, Emu decides to come himself and takes over Saturn, and then we see, like, the transformation, and as Emu's touching down, I guess, all the top tiers feel it. It's like, we see Garp, we see Roger, we see Zebek, of course. It didn't even show Whitebeard, I don't think. I think it was just, you know, those main four, and they feel the hockey, and they're saying, like, what is this? And it's kind of unclear where Roger and Garp are, but we know, like, Zebek and obviously Whitebeard and Kaido are looking at this monster, and they're like, what is this? I guess Whitebeard specifically asks Rox this, and Rox goes, the world, which is interesting because we heard Van Augur actually say that to Saturn on Egghead, and we've heard the world referenced a few other times, and yeah, I'm gonna do it. Sorry, I love JoJo, I had to. You see the figures here, you know, I couldn't really get off without a JoJo reference given my love for both the anime, so it is what it is. But yeah, I think that basically covers it. So, like, you know, we see Kaido eating his fruit, and we're still very curious about, like, what betrayal that's going to be, unless the betrayal was Big Mom, you know, plotting to not give them the fruit, or the other pirates that betrayed Rox. I don't know that there will actually be, like, a big betrayal coming to Kaido. I sure hope not. I sure hope that, like, Rox doesn't betray, you know, Whitebeard and Kaido. I'm sure that Whitebeard won't do that, so, like, I think that the betrayals were just all small betrayals in Kaido's life. I don't think that there really needs to be a big one, though it's definitely possible based on the way he talks about it. I do want to add as kind of a last thing, it's kind of funny that he always talks about, oh, I want to this battle and this fight. It's like maybe after everyone dies, whatever he witnessed here, his whole demeanor change, because this kind of is a turning point for a lot of characters. Like, I think Roger changes, Kaido changes, maybe even Big Mom. But the bigger thing here is kind of like, you know, you kind of snuck Big Mom for that fruit, so, like, you don't really like what happened with Odin or what happened with Luffy before he turned into Gear 5 with Guernica. And it's like, but you snuck Big Mom, so, like, all this thing about honesty and upfront battling, perhaps those are some morals that Kaido earned later down the line. So, anyways, cool to see Kaido in his dragon form again. My theory was that the dragon was his awakening. Maybe he instantly found a way to do it. It'd be real nice to have some clarification on that at some point, given that it's the uo, like, fruit, like the fish fruit, so, you know, definitely my theory's not dead there. One other thing that I saw, like, the One Piece podcast, the Top Podcast, talk about, those guys are cool, shout out to them, was that, does this disprove that the person that injured Whitebeard was Garling? No, because Garling is probably going to get back up. Like, Garling is getting dealt with pretty nicely, and again, Zebek, like, slashed the island in half. Like, at first I thought, like, that's the way it is, but seemingly he did actually do some damage to the island with the peaks, so... and I need to recheck that. I could be wrong, because I kind of felt like the line in the middle was already there, or that might have been what Rox did. So if that is actually a feat of his, like, that's pretty cool. And again, he's not, like, he doesn't know the secret to taking these guys down, so this is kind of just pure hockey that's fucking up the God's Knight. So again, we should still see Gabon versus Summers at some point, I would think. So it means that, you know, Whitebeard going up against Garling is not exactly impossible. If Garling comes and tries to, you know, get into the fight with Emu, perhaps Whitebeard goes against him, and then Sebastian can still get his W. I am Team Sebastian on that argument. So anyways, it's been your boy Astro, aka the Galaxy Shogun. Less editing with this one, sitting in my room, I'm home, I'm working in, like, a whole different town 6 days a week, so I don't even get to see my studio all that often. I got my family coming in a few weeks, my wife's birthday and my kid's birthday, so busy to say the least, but it's nice to take a few minutes here and just kind of get this out, because I wanted to talk about it, and this chapter's 10 out of 10. Oda, you are God. Praise Oda. Also praise Shohei Ohtani. Don't know if you watch baseball. I love baseball. This is a LA Dodgers hat. I am from Toronto, and the Blue Jays are also doing very well, but I've been, you know, a pretty good Dodgers fan, mostly because, you know, they got Shohei Ohtani. We were close to getting him a few years back, but, you know, my wife loves baseball. She's Japanese, you know how that goes, and, yeah, holy crap, is this guy, like, not a human being? I know this is a One Piece video, but if you are not paying attention to Shohei Ohtani in baseball, like, he's the Michael Jordan of baseball. Like, he is undeniably the GOAT. This guy is, like, how are you going to, like, be that good at batting and that good at pitching? Like, for anyone that doesn't know baseball, I'm telling you, if you want to see some epic stuff, look into what this guy has been doing. Anyways, go Dodgers, go Blue Jays, hoping that the Blue Jays come back against the Mariners and we could see a LA Dodgers versus Blue Jays finals, which would kind of suck because I used to go to a lot of Blue Jays games when I lived in Toronto, and it would suck to see a World Series going on there after I moved to Japan, but it is what it is, people. This isn't about baseball, but I did want to bring that up because some pretty crazy stuff is happening in the world of sports. Anyways, it's been your boy, Astro, aka the Galaxy Shogun. Hit that subscribe button to help me get closer to making this a full-time gig, and yeah, that's it, everybody. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. 10 out of 10 chapter for sure. Peace.